Everyone, how are we doing today? I'm so excited to have you guys all here with me today. We're going to be talking all about going beyond the follicle during menopause and how this affects our scalp health and our scalp metabolism. We have a lot of really exciting things to discuss today. We'll be going over protocols. We'll be talking about the Juvasonic, which is really exciting as well. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So first and foremost, in case you guys didn't know, we are celebrating our 25th year anniversary here at Dermastart. We've been around for 25 years, which is super exciting. We have a lot of really great things coming up, from giveaways to new education to a lot of really great things at the trade show. So make sure you guys tune in with us and follow along for our journey about all of the fun stuff that we will be participating in this season. And we're super excited to celebrate. Thank you guys so much for all of your constant support for us here at Dermastart. We love getting to teach you guys, give you new innovative formulas, and really just showcase who we are here at Dermastart. And speaking of, who is Dermastart? In case you aren't familiar and this is your first class with us, let me go ahead and introduce you. My name is Bella. I am our lead educator here at Dermastart Brands. I've been with the company for about 8 years. I've been a licensed esthetician for about 8 years as well. Teaching is one of my biggest passions in life, and I love getting to teach all of my SDs, all of the new and fun things in the industry, our innovative formulas, and who we are as a brand. And who is Dermastart, you might ask? Dermastart is a multifunctional and adaptable skincare line for all skin types, tones, and textures. So what we mean by that is we're really mindful of each individual skincare needs as they relate to your overall well-being. And that really means is we're able to fully transition no matter what phase your client's in. Whether it's your preteens dealing with a little bit of acne and congestion, all the way up to your more advanced clients dealing with things like glycation, melasma, scalp issues, hyperfriction, we're easily able to transition fully through no matter what phase of life they are in. And our skincare line is specifically formulated to treat the depleting and damaging effects of stress on skin. So we use pure and potent ingredients. So you guys are getting the best professional resources available to you. And we are also always cruelty free. If you've ever spoken to Sherry, you know how near and dear animals are to her and how important they are to us here at Dermastart. So we will always, always, always be cruelty free. And Dermastart is also loved for our ability to offer highest quality products at affordable pricing. So we are a lot more competitive in comparison to any other clinical line on the market. So we have a drop shipping program, which you can take part of, which is really great in case you're not able to keep that physical inventory on hand with you. You can drop ship directly to your clients. We also offer affordable shipping on all online orders, and we have free classes such as the one that we are doing here today, which is really exciting. So we really love supporting our SDs and making sure that you guys are successful, because when you're successful, we're successful. We also have no minimums, which is a really big deal and really, really great. So make sure you take advantage of that. And let's get into today's class and kind of what we're going to be going over. So first and foremost, we're going to be talking about the science behind hormonal changes. So understanding the science behind hormonal changes and how they're going to directly impact the scalp during menopause, right? We want to be able to identify those key signs of stress. So looking for, follicular aging and imbalances, while also knowing how to restore scalp vitality. And this is going to be really important because we're going to do this through ingredients like peptides, probiotics, and barrier supportive ingredients that are really going to help to restore that scalp vitality and kind of give it that va-va-voom that we're looking for, right? Then we also are going to be discussing our professional treatment protocols, right? So we'll be exploring, how to address that thinning, that shedding, and that sensitivity that we can see in the treatment room, and really help to give our clients tangible solutions to the issues that they're going through. And then we are also going to be talking all about customizing scalp and hair care regimes, right? So making sure that you guys feel educated and are gaining that practical knowledge so that way you know how to customize these hair care routines, and really making sure that we are looking out for those clients starting in that perimenopause all the way up to our menopausal clients as well. And then we'll be integrating the Dermastart protocols with Juvasonic, which is super exciting. So this is going to be great because this is going to show you how to achieve those solutions and get those visible long-term results that we are looking for. So that way you guys leave this class feeling confident and know how to offer a holistic approach and wellness and rejuvenation approach as well. So let's go ahead and start our deep dive into going beyond the follicle. So when we're talking about why is Meno Prep so important to our hair health, this is going to be super important because there's a few facts in case you didn't know. 40% of women experience noticeable hair or scalp changes during menopause. And these are usually going to be because of those hormonal declines that are going to directly impact those scalp structures, as well as follicular function and that barrier integrity. And that's going to lead to things like shedding. So typically normal shedding is going to be about 50 to 100 hairs per day, whereas shedding can rise to 150 to 200 hairs per day with that delayed regrowth and visible thinning. And that is often going to be concentrated at our hairline and our crown as well. So these are just a few fun facts in case you didn't know, and really good, makes us understand kind of that hair biology and that scalp physiology that we'll be talking about. So when we're talking about healthy hair, this is kind of like a two-part structure, right? So the visible parts of the hair above the skin is made up of keratinized dead skin cells, right? And then we have the hair root, and this is going to be the portion of hair below the scalp surface. So this is going to anchor the hair into the follicle and surround kind of like a protective coating, right? So it's going to have that protective sheath that's going to provide that nutrients and stability to the hair, right? So when we're talking about healthy hair, you're going to have circulation, you're going to have energy, you're going to have sebum balance and repair as well. So when we're talking about the scalp, it's really important to understand that this is a dynamic biological environment and not just a surface hair that we're treating, right? So think of it kind of like a living ecosystem, that we have to have that regular hydration, that oxygenation, that cellular communication, and those these are all going to be essential for that follicular vitality, right? And all of these have primary functions. So, we really want to make sure that we are understanding why it is the way it is, right? So speaking first of the hair structure, we're going to have the shaft, the root, the follicle, and the bulb of the hair structure, right? And then we have the scalp psychology and microcirculation. And this is going to be really important to make sure that those cells have that proper communication that they need so they know what to do and where to do it, right? Then we have sebaceous glands and sebum production. And the primary function of this is going to be to secrete sebum to create a lipid-rich substance that is going to lubricate both the scalp and the hair. So providing that hydration that we need. And then we have keratin biology and the hair shaft composition. So keratin is a fibrous structural protein that's going to form the foundation of the hair, right? So this is what's kind of going to keep the hair nice and sturdy and strong. And then we have hair pigmentation and the role of melanin. So just like we have melanin in our skin, we're going to have it on our scalp too as well. So melanocytes are going to transfer those pigment granules into keratinocytes, and that is going to form in the hair shaft, and that is going to essentially tint each strand and give us that hair color that we have. So when we're talking about scalp metabolism, it's really important to know what is scalp metabolism and why is this relevant? So just like the skin, it has to breathe, it has to feed, it's going to have to defend itself, and it has to go through that renewal process. But it's an even more specialized mission because not only is it doing all of that, but it's also protecting and powering every single hair follicle as well. So when we're talking about scalp metabolism, this is going to refer to that complex biological process within the scalp. And that is going to generate and distribute and also utilize the energy to maintain cellular hair health, as well as follicular activity and also barrier function as well. So when we're thinking of scalp metabolism, we're going to think of its ability to produce that ATP or that energy, right? How it's going to transport that nutrients and oxygen and clear that waste efficiently, right? So making sure that everything is working exactly as it should to maintain that ideal temperature, that hydration, and that circulation, while also supporting active cell turnover and repair, right? Making sure, again, everything is kind of flowing as it needs to. So that way we have homeostasis within that scalp barrier as well. And when we're talking about the scalp metabolism, right, just like our scalp has its own metabolism, just like the rest of our body. So when we're talking about this is going to be that biological and biochemical process within the scalp tissues that is going to not only sustain skin cells, but also sebaceous glands and hair follicles as well. And just like our metabolism can, be really, really good or kind of go downhill, it's the same thing with the scalp, right? It can slow down from things such as like weather changes, hormonal changes, stress, poor circulation, or even just overall inevitable aging, right? And you may notice this coming up as symptoms as, dryness, sensitivity, or even thinning of the hair. And, this is really important because, right, when we have healthy cells that are, fueling that energy, and it's going to make our hair grow nice and strong and healthy, and it's going to deliver that nutrients and that oxygen through those tiny blood vessels, which is then going to produce those natural oils or that sebum to make sure that that scalp is nice and balanced, right? And that is going to lead us into that repairing and renewing process process, which is going to build that collagen and those other supporting proteins and protect us also against that stress and inflammation with antioxidants. So our scalp metabolism really does play a very big role in how our scalp works and also the results that we're looking for, right? So if all of those are kind of in dysbiosis, right, what's going to happen? We're going to have a influx of that dryness, that sensitivity, that thinning, and we're going to have adverse reactions when before we weren't, right? And that's going to lead us into things like filaggrin. So filaggrin is really cool. If you haven't heard of filaggrin, this is going to be a structural protein inside of the epidermis. And what its main function is to take keratin cells and snap them right back into place, kind of like a Lego structure. So they're kind of like building in like this and stacking and stacking and stacking, right? So it's really important to make sure that these structures are not, low, damaged, or, anything like that. We really want to make sure that they are as intact as possible. And, when filaggrin is, low, damaged, or even just genetically reduced, your scalp kind of goes haywire. So you'll notice that it's going to be itchy and dry, tight and flaky, as well as very easily irritated and inflamed. So filaggrin really is something that's super important. And with those bundles of those keratin fibers, they're going to form into those strong, compact cells, right? So again, like that Lego-like structure. And this is going to form the skin's natural moisturizing factors, which is going to help to control that water retention, so preventing that transepidermal water loss. And it's also going to protect us against those irritants and microbes, right? And what's really important to know is when filaggrin is impaired, it's called melasesa. So it's kind of like a fungus, and this is going to destroy that lipid structure and cause it to collapse, right? So that's where you're going to see your clients saying things like, my scalp is so flaky and oily at the same time, or my shampoo burns whenever I wash my hair, or, I scratch my scalp a lot at night, or I just feel like my scalp is so tight and dry, right? So you can see that there's two problems happening at once. And this is not from dandruff, right? This is from that filaggrin dysfunction, or that filaggrin being dispair. So it's really important to make sure that we are aware of all of this in the treatment room. And it's also important to note that medications can also exacerbate this, especially statins can really exacerbate this. So this is just things to look out for on your client's intake form to make sure that you are kind of aware of what could be happening and also what to look out for as well. And when we're talking about filaggrin collapsing during menopause, when we're in perimenopause and that's kind of taking full effect, right? Our estrogen is dropping, which is going to mean that our scalp is going to stop producing enough of that filaggrin, right? So that protein that is holding that barrier together. And without that, our scalp is going to become, again, dry, flaky, itchy, and inflamed. And it's going to cause that slower hair regrowth or slower hair growth overall. So what our goal here is to do is to rebuild the barrier so that way your scalp can hold that hydration, calm that inflammation, and support that healthy hair growth again and go back into that state of homeostasis, because a lot of people think that, filaggrin is just kind of like a skin thing, but it's a scalp. Our scalp is going to, barrier is going to mirror our facial barrier as well in structure. So it's even more vulnerable also because of that sebaceous activity and that frequent cleansing we do, especially if you have clients who wash their hair every day, multiple times a day. So when we're talking to scalp metabolism and how this is relating to menopause and how filaggrin kind of goes all into this and how they're interconnected with each other, right? Scalp metabolism is going to relate to that perimenopause because when this is happening, it becomes erratic, right? Because those hormones are kind of going up and then they're going down and then they're going up and they're going down, right? So the drop in estrogen and progesterone is going to increase DHT. So this is really important to know because testosterone decreases more gradually, which is why it can be increased levels and cause that androgen effect or that DHT sensitivity that we see. So when we're talking about a drop in estrogen and progesterone and how its relative rises in testosterone, it's going to reduce that scalp microcirculation and that lipid production. And this is what's going to lead to that filaggrin decline. And when we're talking about, again, scalp metabolism and how this is going to trigger shedding and how this kind of unveils itself, right? As that estrogen and progesterone are declining, several metabolic shifts are going to happen within the scalp, right? So the antigen phase or that growth phase cycle kind of is going to shorten, right? And more of that follicular shift is prematurely going to be in that telogen phase, so in that resting phase instead of the growing phase, right? And as those exogen phases occur, right, it's going to reduce vascularia, and it's also going to diminish cellular energy supply and comprise of the follicle's metabolic activity. And what that means is that the result of that is that the hair shaft is going to receive fewer nutrients and oxygen, and that's going to lead to that progressive thinning that we can see and that premature shedding as well. So your scalp is kind of aging in dog years during menopause, right? So it's a little bit more accelerated than it would have been if you were in perimenopause or menopause as well. And when we're talking about menopausal hair shedding, it's not simply just hormonal, it's metabolic, right? So when we're talking about the scalp metabolism and how it's slowing down and that follicular energy and how that nutrients exchange and that barrier function are all kind of declining, this is going to lead us into noticing more of that shedding and loss of density. And, we really want to make sure that during this phase, especially, we are supporting that microcirculation, that mitochondrial activity, and that lipid balance. So that way we can reactivate that cellular metabolism and extend that growth cycle again. So just making sure that we're trying to keep that barrier intact, making sure that we're helping with that scalp resilience and kind of really soothing and calming a lot of that inflammation, because, with weakened follicles, it's going to slow that growth and it's going to increase that shedding, especially during that exogen phase as well. And when we're talking about what is DHT, and it's, what is it? Everybody might be kind of curious about that. So DHT is not necessarily bad, right? It is essential for normal development. So that's really important to know and to really highlight there. But when we have excess of DHT, that is where that activity in the scalp is going to disrupt that follicular metabolism, and it's going to accelerate that shedding, especially in perimenopause when that estrogen is declining. So DHT kind of takes over, causing that thinning and that slower regrowth. So it's really important to know that, yes, it is necessary, but we don't want too much of a good thing, right? So really important to make sure that, again, we are in that balance and that we are, kind of understanding how this is affecting the hair and how to go through with this, right? So when we're talking about miniaturization of the hair follicles in each cycle as they are getting thinner and shorter, right? What's happening is we're shortening that anagen phase or that growing cycle, and it's prolonging the resting phase or that telogen phase. So that is going to be longer than it should be. And that is what is going to be led to that shedding, right? And this is going to lead to things like reduced microcirculation, which is going to impair that metabolism and that nutrient delivery, right? We want to make sure that we have enough of that nutrients being delivered so that way our scalp and our hair has everything that it needs. So what we can do is we can make a DHT our ally, right? So we want to rethink DHT, that it's not the enemy, but a regulator, right? And this is kind of like the magical question during menopause. So we want to strengthen the scalp barrier. We want to improve that circulation as well as that oxygen flow and recalibrate that inflammation, right? And while also supporting that cellular energy. So that way our hair can go through all of those growth cycles. And speaking of the growth cycles, I know we've touched on them a little bit, but I really want to highlight here that our hair is not static, that it is also in that constant state of renewal through our four main growth stages. So first and foremost, we have the anagen phase. So this is going to be the growth phase, and this is going to be the most active of the four. And this is where the follicles produce new strands, right? And that's going to lead us into the catagen phase. So that's going to be that transitional period between the growth phase and the resting phase. And this is a brief period where the follicles disconnect from the nutrient supply before they go to renewing, right? And then we have resting phase, just like everything, right? We got to work, and then we have to rest to recharge ourselves. So then we have that resting phase, and this is going to be the telogen phase. And this is where our follicles are going to go dormant and they're going to prep for that regrowth cycle. And then we have the exogen phase. So I like to think of this as the exit stage because exit kind of goes hand in hand, right? So this is going to be the shedding phase. So during this stage is when those mature hairs are naturally going to shed from the scalp, and they are going to make room for the new anagen phase or that growth cycle hair. So we are always in that constant state of flow. So the final stage is kind of like that exit interview. So that's a kind of a good way to remember it is exit exo. So then that way you kind of know what the phases are. And when we're talking about hydrating our scalp, this is going to be a non-negotiable, right? Especially if you want strong, healthy, balanced hair. So this is kind of like going to be our insurance policy for our follicles, right? So when that estrogen drops, four things are going to hit the scalp all at once. So with that Meno Prep, this is going to help us have that preventative phase to prevent and make sure that we are strengthening that barrier. We are boosting that circulation, restoring signaling, reducing inflammation, and optimizing that follicular performance. So that way we can have a strong, healthy, and balanced hair growth, right? So making sure that we are taking all of these into account, because this is really going to be like our insurance policy and kind of protect us later on when we need it most. And that's going to lead us into those clinical restoration strategies, right? So a clinically hydrated lipid balanced scalp is going to reactivate its communication between cells and the follicles. And this is going to create that ideal environment that is going to be having sustained hair growth and also going to be very healthy as well. Right? We know hydration is going to be super important because this is going to reestablish the scalp's moisture balance through humectants like urea, multi-weight hyaluronic acids, and also reducing that transepidermal water loss. While that lipid replenishment is going to go in and restore those essential fatty acids and those ceramides. So this is going to help to rebuild the scalp's lipid matrix while also improving the elasticity and that barrier integrity as well. And then we have our neurogenic modulation. So this is going to be utilizing our neurocalming peptides to normalize sensory signaling and to reduce that microinflammation that's going to disrupt that scalp homeostasis, right? So keeping that scalp nice and healthy and happy and preventing a lot of that inflammation that we can see as well. And this is kind of going to lead me into our 4 pillars of hair vitality. So we have our framework, and the framework is kind of going to be the skin's function, while the biomarkers are going to be the indicators and targets within that framework, right? So our focus here is for these hair products are going to align with the skin's hair interface biological rhythm. So we're going to optimize the 4 key biomarkers that are going to define healthy hair growth, right? So first and foremost, we have our structural, which is going to be that architect and mechanical resilience. And within that, we're going to have support of that physical integrity of the scalp and the follicular anchoring. So what we're doing is we're reinforcing the follicular matrix for stronger, more resilient hair, right? Then we have molecular. So that's going to be biochemicals, signaling and cellular pathways. And what this is doing is this is regulating that activity through neurogenic peptides, copper complexes, and also other actives that are going to help with that cellular communication and that growth signaling. So when we get into the functional pillar, that's going to be all about physiological performance and dynamic processes. And what we mean by that is we are going to be enhancing that scalp microcirculation so it can deliver those nutrients and help with the follicular responsiveness. So what we're doing is we're ensuring that the hair cycles are efficiently going through that growth phase. So then that way, when we get to the barrier, that's going to be our protection and our homeostasis. And this is what's going to help to kind of keep everything in balance. So maintaining that scalp hydration, strengthening that protective barrier, and reducing that inflammation or those environmental stressors to support that healthy hair retention as well. And when we're talking about the 4 biomarkers of hair vitality, right? First and foremost, we have circulation, so vascular biomarkers. So this is going to stimulate scalp micro circulation. So this is going to improve oxygen and nutrient flow to help with that follicle, right? And then we have communication. So communication is going to be a neurogenic biomarker, and this is going to be powered by those neuropeptides that we talked about a little bit earlier. And what this is doing is it's enhancing the scalp nerve signaling and encouraging that cellular vitality and balance neuroinflammation for a stronger follicular response. And that is going to lead us into regeneration. So when we're talking about regeneration, that's that cellular biomarker. And this is going to be talking all about that active ATP and that protein synthesis pathways for that structural repair. So that way we can improve the follicular density and make sure we support the cellular resilience and build that scalp renewal as well. And then we have retention. So this is going to be a structural biomarker, and this is going to be all about fortifying those anchoring proteins so that way we can have that excellular matrix integrity to help retain all of those active hair shafts longer in the anagen or the growth phase as well. And, it's really important to know, right? We have the same biology, but it's different zip code, right? So as estheticians, if we're ignoring we are leaving results on the table, right? And revenue, and that we don't want to do that. So here is why we should be treating the scalp just like the rest of the barrier of the skin, right? The scalp has those sebaceous glands, microbiome, a barrier layer, a collagen matrix, and these are the exact same structures that we're already used to working with on the face. And the only difference is hair follicles as well as the density of that oil activity. So in short form, this really is all about, if it ages, it's going to inflame and it's going to dehydrate you just like the face if we're not taking care of it. So I always like to make sure I use this as a reference when I'm, thinking about scalp health, barrier health, and making sure that my clients, I know exactly what to look for and how I can help them as well. And not only is it helping my client and they are getting the results that they're looking for, but it also helps me as a business owner to build revenue as well. So when we're talking about the scalp as skin, the scalp barrier in the skin's first line of defense. And what we mean by this is a structured lipid matrix that's going to protect us against that dehydration, microbial imbalances, and those environmental stressors. So when the barrier breaks down during menopause, this is going to cause a slew of different issues. So those hormonal declines, especially in estrogen and progesterone, are going to lead to those reduced ceramides and lipid synthesis, increase of transepidermal water loss and dehydration, heightened sensitivity and inflammation, and as well as a compromised microbiome balance. And that is going to result in, flakiness, tightness, itchiness. And this is going to lead us into more irritation. And these are all signs of barrier dysfunction. So as a modernized esthetician, we should no longer think face to décolleté, right? We need to be thinking halo to décolleté. And this is going to be super important for that barrier integrity, which is going to define that scalp resilience, and also making sure that we understand a compromised barrier not only triggers inflammation, but also disrupts follicle signaling and growth as well. So this can make the scalp, so making scalp hydration is going to be super important and making it want to be one of the forefronts of, supporting that barrier and having that foundational wellness for that menopausal hair that we are going through as well. And when we're talking about all of these different things, right, we have those thermo-managing peptides, right? So we want to reduce that heat shock activity. So hair follicles are extremely heat sensitive tissues. So, looking for ingredients like copper tripeptide 1 that's in our copper tide mist is going to be amazing, because this is going to help with that heat shock regulation. Our dermal sensory correction technology is going to help with those overreactive nerve signaling. We have palmitoidal tetrapeptide 20 amide, and this is really great. This is going to help with that scalp metabolism and helping with bringing that color back to our scalp. And we'll get into that a little bit later. We have Ecotin, which is really great because it adds in that hydration and kind of soothes and calms everything. And then hypochlorous acid is another really great ingredient to look out for. So this is going to be like in our trauma sprays, and this is going to reduce that inflammatory heat instantly, while Ecotin is really going to help protect those proteins from that thermal stress as well. So you can see all of these ingredients are really great, and we are actually going to get into discussing those in just a little bit when we go over products. But really important to look out for, just in case, so you can be aware. And when speaking of all of those great ingredients, right, we're in an era of biohacking that scalp wellness, right? Biohacking scalp wellness is going to take a proactive approach that's not only going to upgrade how the scalp functions, but also how the hair looks as well. And here at Clear Choice, this isn't just us entering another category, right? We are rewriting it and setting the standard for it. So we are going to be talking all about menopause-driven hair loss, because it's become more common and it's really emotionally taxing and can, cause a lot of different things, especially for us modern estheticians. So we need to be aware of it. We need to look out for it. And we also want to kind of get rid of that old wash and hope routine, right? It's dead. It's gone, right? So we want our consumers to know, we know what we're talking about, we understand the science, we have a solution, and we know how to provide that scalp longevity as well. So when we're talking about, 0 shades of gray, right, and that achromotrichia, right, this is going to be really important as we're talking about biohacking that scalp wellness. So this is going to be the absence of color. So A is going to be without, chromio is going to be color, and trichia is going to be hair. So achromotrichia is going to be the absence of color. And what it means biologically is that it is happening because a melanocyte, so that pigment producing cell in the hair bulb, is either going to stop producing melanin, or it kind of died off and it isn't being replaced during that new growth cycle. So you can see here is a really great example of that. And the root cause of this is going to be things such as aging, so that natural melanocyte exhaustion or oxidative stress that we can see too as well. And this is going to be from excessive free radicals and that are going to damage those pigment cells. You can see this from nutrient deficiencies as well. So especially copper, if they're deficient in copper, B12, folate, iron, those all play a role. We also have genetic predisposition. So what's our family pigment kind of clock looking like? Did your parents gray really early? Did they gray really late? That all plays a part in this as well. And then inflammation or autoimmune responses. And that's going to be things from like vitiligo, alopecia, things like that as well. So getting into copper peptides are so cool, and they are having their moment for good reason. When we're talking about copper peptides, there are studies to show that this is not only going to slow or reverse the depigment by re-stimulating that melangiecus. This is really great because copper peptides were first discovered, specifically copper GHK was first discovered in 1970s by Dr. Lori Pickard, and this was the one who actually identified this as a naturally occurring tripeptide. So this is going to be when copper is bound to the human ions in human plasma. So in early research, it showed that copper GHK levels in the body declined as we aged, right? And as they declined, this was correlated with, a decrease in tissue repair, collagen production, and overall skin regeneration. And how we kind of use it in today's day and age when it comes to cosmetic and therapeutic applications, right? Over the decades, researchers have found that topical copper GHK can stimulate collagen. It's great for elastin synthesis. It's also going to help to accelerate that wound healing, reduce inflammation, and also help to improve overall barrier function as well, which is really great. And in today's day and age, as the modern esthetician, right, we use copper GHK. It's like the gold standard when it comes to anti-aging and in our professional skincare line. And this is great because not only is it has an ability to promote skin regeneration, but it's also going to reduce those wrinkles. It's going to help to enhance the skin's resilience as well. And it's safe, it's effective, and it has a multifunctional benefit to it, right? So this is going to help with things in like our serums, peels, post procedures, those advanced treatments that we're doing. It has so many different benefits. And as we're speaking of those benefits, copper GHK is going to be amazing, because not only is this one of the ingredients that we use in our copper tide mist, but it also helps with oxygen proliferation. So once you stimulate that blood flow and remove that DHT in that resting phase or telogen phase, it's not only going to promote that gene expression, which is linked to regeneration, but it's kind of waking up our follicles, stem cells, so that way they can start supporting that healthy hair pigment again, or those melanocytes, right? So it's kind of helping our follicle to act young again and kind of giving it like a new life, which is great. And this is great because, this is going to help with things like gray hairs, and gray hairs happen right when that melanocyte is kind of burnt out. So what copper GHK is doing is it is increasing melanin synthesis by upregulating tyrosinase, and that is going to give us better circulation. And with better circulation means more oxygen and more copper ions. So that means more robust pigment in the system as well. And then we have palmitoyl tetrapeptide 20 amide, and this is a biomimetic peptide. So this is a alpha melanocyte stimulating hormone. So this is really cool because this is going to help to bring that pigment back to the hair. So this is a smarter molecule messenger that is designed to talk to your cells and your hair cells. And this is really cool because this is amplifying that copper. So this works hand in hand with our copper tide mist. So it's helping those scalp follicles to act young again as well, and helping to bring that pigment back. So this is going to amplify everything that we've done with the copper tide mist. And speaking of our copper tide mist, this is one of my favorite products. I have gone through so many bottles of this. This is great because our copper tide mist is going to be extending those antigen and catagen phases. So it creates a healthier scalp environment. And this is really cool because not only is it building resilience in the hair, but it's also helping to calm irritation, help with that hypersensitivity, and reduce that itchiness that we can feel as well. So it's restoring that comfort and helping with to improve that overall texture as well, to support that scalp health and make sure that we have an optimal environment for hair growth. This is great because this is going to be filled with that copper GHK that we just talked about, but it also has that palmitoyl tripeptide 8, which is really great for helping with those overreactive nerve endings and kind of making sure that we are coming keeping everything nice and calm and soothed. And then we have tripeptide 2, and this is great because this helps to stimulate tissue. So this is also a really great product if you have clients who have very thin, brittle skin. This is really great because it'll help to actually thicken that tissue as well. Then we have SH oligopeptide 1, or our EGFs, and these are bioengineered forms of epidermal growth factors. And these are going to promote cell renewal. They're going to help with that skin regeneration and help to improve the overall texture as well. So this is going to help with having a speedy recovery and also supporting a healthy tissue repair as well. And then we have hexapeptide 49. And this is great because this is also a calming peptide that is going to help to reduce that skin discomfort, that itchiness, and that hypersensitivity, and support that barrier function to soothe that irritation as well. And we have some really great before and afters that I wanted to show you guys. So first and foremost, we have our photo here. So this is going to be for hair loss and that DHT increase. So what we're trying to target as well is that gray and that texture. And you can see here how amazing this worked for helping with that thinning hair that she had. So you can see in the before here, her hair is a little bit on that thinner side, and you can see some of that gray versus after where it is nice and thick and luscious. And then a lot of that pigment has come back as well. And this was used twice a day for 2 weeks. And then we have, again, twice a day for 2 weeks on the same candidate. And this was to target that thinning and that graying and that texture again as well. And this is kind of more of a side profile view. So you can see here it is a little bit thinner and has some of that gray coloring versus here where a lot of those grays have kind of gone away. And we also have a nice, more thick, luscious hairline as well. And then we also have these before and afters that are really good. So you can see here, this was used twice a day for 4 weeks. And this, you can see a lot of that graying here and a lot of that graying here, right? Versus here where you can see a lot of that pigment has come back and it is a lot thicker as well and a lot more soft looking as well. So it kind of helps with that wiriness that we can see as well. And then we have our products. So getting into more of the products, we have Scalpify. This is going to be newer to our scalp collection here at Clear Choice. So this is a professional pre-scalp cleansing detox booster. So what this has is it is a multi-acid formulation that is working to unclog those follicles so those peptides can work exactly how they're supposed to. So this is a no rinse solution. So you are going to apply this and not rinse it off. And what's great about this is it helps to target follicular solution. So it's prepping that scalp prior to those professional treatments. So this is great to integrate if you do a lot of head spa treatments. And what it's doing is it is dissolving those scalp oils, that styling residue, as well as that product buildup, but it's not disrupting that natural microbiome. So we use a lot of really great ingredients in here. So that multi-acid formulation is going to contain 2% glycolic, 2% lactic, and 2% salicylic. And what's great about this is we know glycolic is a little bit of an itty-bitty molecule, so it's going to penetrate nice and deeply and help with that exfoliation. While lactic acid, while it's a little bit bigger, so it's going to be slower penetrating, it also acts as a humectant. So it's drawing that moisture into the skin. And that salicylic is going to help with that oiliness. So really, really great for clients who deal with a lot of oiliness on their scalp as well. So great exfoliation. It's going to be very gentle as well. Then we have milk proteins in there. So milk proteins are going to be rich in essential amino acids. So milk proteins are going to protect against irritants from those surfactants or the styling buildup. And then we have coconut liquid endosperm. And this is great because this is, again, full of a lot of amino acids, a lot of vitamins and natural sugars. So this is great for helping to soothe the skin, helping with that regeneration and to reinforce also that moisture barrier. So that way we have smoother, more healthier appearance on the scalp. And then we have pea peptides in there. So pea peptides are really great because this is a peptide that is totally underused in our industry. And I'm telling you now, you will see this kind of be at the forefront of our industry this year. But anyways, back to pea proteins, right? These are great because they are an underrated weapon when it comes to scalp and follicular improving. So this is helping to improve that corneocyte cohesion. So great for reducing things like sensitivity and irritation. So it's kind of like training wheels for compromised scalp barrier. So really, really great for helping with that sensitivity and that irritation as well. This is really great. It's very gentle. It's not going to cause any irritation. It's not going to make your clients dry or flaky or anything like that. And to go along with that, we have our Sidekick Shampoo Booster. And this is really cool because what this is doing, just like the copper tide mist, it is extending that antigen and catagen phases of the hair growth cycle. So this is an amplifier to your existing shampoo. So what you're going to do is you're going to apply your shampoo, work it in your scalp. Then you're going to apply the Sidekick Shampoo Booster, apply a few pumps into your hands, work it together, kind of emulsify it and really work it in, especially where you notice a lot of that thinning. So especially like the hairline, the crown, your part, those are really great areas to work it in and make sure that you kind of like really work it in there. Me personally, I've been using this for the last couple months. I like to leave it in my hair, I would say, for probably like a minute or two, just while I kind of work it in there. And I like to wash my face while I kind of let it sit for a minute, but that's just my little pro tip of what I like to do. And what this product is doing is it's helping to stimulate that circulation. It's helping with that, enhancing that neurosignaling and also promoting that regeneration and also improving retention as well. So it's going to give you stronger, denser, healthier hair from root to tip. And this is full of copper GHK, like we kind of talked about earlier as well. But it's also going to be full of palmitoyl tripeptide 8, which is a part of our dermal sensory correction technology. So if you're not familiar with that, that is a proprietary blend to us here at Dermastart. So you will not find this in any other clinical line on the market. So one of the ingredients that we love to highlight in this formulation is that palmitoyl tripeptide 8. And this is really great because not only is it reducing inflammation, but it's also helping with the scalp and helping to maintain a healthy barrier as well. So great for helping with that essential hair growth. And again, also that palmitoyl tripeptide 20 amide is also going to be really great for that as well and helping with that pigment as well. And then we have hydrolyzed quinoa and rice and pea proteins, and all of these work together to penetrate the hair shaft. So it's going to strengthen, it's going to repair, and it's going to add resilience. So it's reducing that breakage and helping to promote fuller, healthier hair. And then we have provitamin B5 in there as well. And this is great because this is insanely hydrating. So it's helping to improve that elasticity and shine. We also have argan oil and sunflower seed oil in there, which are great because these are fatty acids and full of antioxidants. So they're helping to nourish those hair follicles and protect against that oxidative stress. So that way that cherimoya and that ginger extract can really go in there and add into that circulation. So they help to provide antioxidant support and to encourage a healthy scalp environment as well. So you can see there's a lot of really great ingredients in here that are going to help to benefit that scalp and really make sure that we are helping with that stimulation, helping to enhance that circulation, and that we are also helping with that retention as well. Then we have Gray Biotics. So Gray Biotics is amazing because this is our amplifier to copper tide mist. So one of the main ingredients in here is going to be that palmitoyl tetrapeptide 20 amide. And again, this is really good for helping with reducing or helping to enhance that scalp metabolism and really helping with that pigment as well. Then we have SH polypeptide 9, and this is really great for helping with that hydration in there. And when we're talking about Gray Biotics, this product is so amazing because not only is it targeting that oxidative stress and that follicular aging, but it's supporting that melanin renewal and helping to maintain that natural appearance of hair color. So it's going to help to bring that pigment back. And this is formulated with those biomimetic peptides that are going to activate the AMSH pathway. So these act as a catalyst booster and have those protective phytoactives in there. So it's helping to defend that follicular cells from stress and also promoting stronger, more vibrant hair color from root to tip as well, which is really cool. But we also have a lot of things in here to support that skin microbiome on our scalp. So that's going to be that pinkberry, inulin, and ashwagandha extract. We also have biotin and amino acids in here to help to strengthen the hair and help to with that shininess and that elasticity. And then those neurogenic scalp protectors as well. So you can see this has a lot of really great ingredients that are going to, really help with regulating fewer autoimmune misfires. So it's helping at the follicles. So this is really crucial too, because this is going to help with that inflammation. And it's also going to help making sure that, we are helping with that hair growth cycle as well. And then we have Hyla Scalp. When I tell you I'm obsessed with Hyla Scalp, like Copper Tide Mist and Hyla Scalp have been like my besties, as well as the Sidekick Booster. All three have been amazing for helping with hair growth, especially for somebody like me, where I do very slick back buns and I have very curly hair. But Hyla Scalp is really great because this is a scalp serum that's formulated to restore hydration and relieve irritation, but to not be heavy. So it is a jelly-like texture, and this uses multi-weight hyaluronic acid and vitamin B5. And what this is doing is it is really helping with supporting that scalp hydration. So it's preventing that transepidermal water loss and really helping with that lipid barrier function. But we also have that palmitoyl tripeptide 8 and acetohexapeptide 49 in there to kind of act as our peacekeepers and to help with any irritation on the scalp. So that way that ecotin, which is an amino acid derivative, can help with molecular hair hydration and help to shield the hair from those environmental stressors and help to protect the hair as well. Ecotint is a really, really great ingredient, not only because it is so hydrating, but it is just so lightweight as well. So it's not going to leave you feeling very heavy. Then we have urea. Urea is amazing. So this doesn't just stop at the scalp. It helps to reboot the metabolism and restore the follicle as well. So urea is a NMF hydration booster. So this is great because it is a skin identical humectant that is going to relieve dryness. It's going to help to restore that scalp comfort and also to improve that flakiness and that itchiness that we can see on the scalp. So it makes it a lot smoother and a lot more hydrated and a lot more calm as well, especially for clients who go to bed with wet hair, because this is kind of like our secret sabotager. Scalp health, because you're already dealing with that dryness, that itchiness, and that flakiness and that shedding, right? And going to bed with wet hair can cause a lot more of that dysregulation in the scalp. So urea doesn't fix sleeping with wet hair, but it helps to prevent those consequences. So really good ingredient as well. And I love this product. It doesn't leave the scalp feeling oily, greasy, or heavy as well, which is really great. And now that leads us into the fun part with Juvasonic. So Juvasonic is really great because we are so excited to announce our collaboration with Juvasonic and Clear Choice. So this partnership is great because this creates almost like the perfect protocol. We're helping with advancing transepidermal infusions. So that way we can integrate precision delivery with those concentrated actives to optimize not only the scalp, but also skin rejuvenation at that molecular level. So in case you haven't heard of Juvasonic, Juvasonic is a really cool new modality on the market, and this is going to be a needleless, pain-free device that is going to not only enhance the absorption of those topical actives, but is also going to help those targeted serums be delivered more accurately, right? Because what they're doing is they're temporarily disrupting the stratum corneum or the outer layer of skin. So it is using those sonic vibrations and nanotechnology to simultaneously not only infuse the skin, but also help with those targeting active ingredients as well. And that is where we kind of re-engineered what lies beneath, right? We are so excited about this collaboration. So we have two different ampules, and today we're going to be highlighting our root cause. So root cause is amazing because this has so many benefits, which we'll get into a little bit later. But again, we really wanted to design this because not only are we waking up that collagen producing cells by pushing those targeted ingredients exactly where they need to go, but also we are amplifying how our skin is going to repair, how it's going to firm, and how it's going to not only regenerate itself. So this is really great because with those teeny tiny openings in the device, it allows those ingredients to bypass that outer layer of the stratum corneum and to reach that viable epidermis or upper dermis, where real biological changes are happening. And that leads us into root cause. So this is a concentrated ampule. And again, this was designed in collaboration with a Juvasonic, which we're super excited about. So root cause ampules are those advanced restorative treatments. So this is designed to correct the underlying cause of scalp and hair imbalances. So this is going to restore thicker, stronger, more resilient hair. So we have a lot of really great ingredients in here. So we have that palmitoyl tetrapeptide amide, which is going to help with that grain. We have that copper GHK in there, which we know is full of a lot of really great benefits. But we also have a variety of amino acids in here. So these are great because amino acids are the essential building blocks of keratin. So it's going to help to strengthen the hair. It's going to reduce that breakage, and it's also going to support new growth. So this is really great because they are also going to support a healthy scalp to boost that hydration and help to enhance that shine for stronger hair overall, which is really great. We also, again, have a lot of really good growth peptides in here, which are going to stimulate the hair at the follicles. So it's helping on a cellular level. So it's encouraging that stronger, thicker, and healthier hair growth cycle. So it's going to help to improve that circulation and help with that inflammation to extend our hair growth cycles. So again, helping to extend that growth phase and give us fuller, more better results as well. And this is a really cool little case study that we wanted to show you guys. So this image is of a scalp of a 61-year-old patient. So this is going to be pre-Juvasonic, right? In the picture, you can see that stratum corneum is completely intact versus during the treatment, right? This is going to be afterwards. So post-Juvasonic, you can see all of those openings there. And then 15 minutes after, you can see how it kind of closes back up. So this allows all of those ingredients to go exactly where they need to go and not, just sit on the surface of the skin. And in case you're interested, here is the technology specs as well. So there are 3 different speeds, and it also does include red light and blue light in there. So you're able to target, whether you are looking to target that collagen health and skin tone or that scalp vitality like we talked about today, Or if you're working on the face, it's going to help to purify the skin and reduce that surface congestion if you're using the blue light. This is a handheld device, so very comfortable in the hand, and it is USB-C rechargeable, and it has a very long battery life, which is great. You can use this on the face, the scalp, the neck, the body. And this is great because it has advanced polymer housing with micro precision. So this is really, really great, very lightweight as well. So it's not going to be heavy on your hands and feel uncomfortable. And then we also have our 3 different vials. So the tips, so these are all going to tell you exactly, what kind of viscosity you're using and so how big the tip you should be using. So with our ampules, we will tell you on our website which tip you should be using with which. But to go through them, we have red, which is going to be 0.1 millimeters, and this is going to be for low viscosity topicals such as Root Cause, PRP or exosomes. Then we have 0.2, which is going to be great for more moderate viscosity type of serums or textures, and then 0.5, and this is going to be for the high viscosity things such as scalp boosters, serums for the skin as well that are a little bit thicker in texture as well. But yeah, guys, it was so exciting to get to talk to you guys all today. And we're so excited to be here with you all. And thank you guys again for everything. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to us at hello@dermastart.com. That's going to be my email in case you need anything. You can call our corporate office at 866-589-2949 as well if you want to chit chat if you have any questions. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Dermastart. And you can find all of the products that we spoke about today at www.dermastart.com. And I look forward to seeing you in our next collaborative class. I will see you guys later. Have a great day, guys. Bye.